right here in the front, and then I'm going to say 2 more questions just because we do need to be aware of the facility space too, so we will need to be out of here soon.
My question's for Bill. You mentioned goals 2000 earlier.
Right.
I've been reading quite a bit about that. My question is this a later version of what goals 2000 was, but more technologically advanced?
I think that's a fair way to look at it. Just to be bipartisan, the George H.W. Bush administration, when it came in, it enlisted the National Governors Association, the same culprits that we see in this. It's a trade organization, a lobbying organization of the governors. And George Bush Sr. had a summit at Charlottesville, Maryland, and he got the people like Bill Clinton back when he was governor of Arkansas to participate in this in an in-depth way. And they set up national standards and testing and so forth.
Was that in 1990?
Let me just continue. And then it failed. And that, I remember I said that the questions went to NAEP, to the National Report Card Test. It's a sample test. It's not like, the test we're talking about is for every student. A sample test just takes a few students in each state to see how everybody's doing. It's not nearly as, pushing what happens, a sample test. So anyway, so then in the Clinton administration, they tried it again, 2 times, okay? And they changed the name from America 2000 to Goals 2000. And by the end, they got it. And yes, this is a continuing attempt. George W. Bush, when he was campaigning, even though there are many conservatives who feel that No Child Left Behind went too far, when he campaigned, he said, I don't want any national standards, I don't want any national tests. The Republican National Platform, when George W. ran in 2000, said no national standards, no national tests. He didn't do it. The law there, and I'm as familiar with this law as anybody in this room, having been Assistant Secretary of Education, but the tests were, and the standards were to remain in the control of the states. So, I don't want to claim perfection for that law, but that's why it's a big change for the Obama administration.
I just wanted to know if it was a connection.
There is a connection, and the real connection is people. These are not just like abstract institutions doing this. The people who decided in 2006 to do this are the same darn people who tried to do it in the George H.W. administration and in the Clinton administration. They are the same people. Mike Smith, advisor to Arne Duncan. Arne Duncan himself was in favor of this, but Obama, by the way, did not campaign on doing this at all. He never mentioned it during the campaign. But his main spokeswoman during the campaign, the 2000 campaign, Linda Darling-Hammond, went on to run this Smarter Balance thing that you guys are having, and she has explicitly said she's going to reform classroom instruction method through the tests. She's going to bring progressive education, and some people may go for it, okay? And with a great teacher, I'm sure it works pretty well. But in general, in America, we've had a lot of problems with imposing progressive education across the board. But she wants to use, she has explicitly said in interviews, she wants to use the test to transform teaching style to inquiry-based, discovery-based learning in all the classrooms, using the test as the instrumentality to force this. So these are people that are doing this. They're in different places. Some of them are in the Gates Foundation and then moving to as Arne Duncan's top subordinates. Some of them, they're people, and they're in different institutional roles, but they all came together and they did it. And everybody was asleep. It was the summertime.
There's also some concepts that get added each time, and the concept of accountability came about for the first time with No Child Left Behind. It had not been used before, but this evolution...
I beg to defer, actually, disagree. It actually appeared in the reauthorization under President Reagan, at the end of President Reagan's.
The accountability that
accountability and
schools
testing.
keep scores and pass them on was begun at a state level. It was not taking, all right.
It was also in the
we can talk
Clinton,
about
it was
all right.
also in the Clinton.
I know the Department of Education.
They didn't enforce
began-
it, they gave waivers, they didn't, okay.
It
yeah.
didn't take place at the state level. Accountability took place at the state level for the first time with some kind of penalty for not doing so at the state level. You could rate schools and you could supervise them or put them in categories where they needed help or they didn't need help. But that morphed into something different. They were state standards earlier, now they are college-ready standards, which now means that they're linked to higher ed. This never happened before.
That's all correct.
There are other things happening that are different from before, but you can see an evolution of certain
She's right.
kinds of concepts.
Every reauthorization and every rule writing, they get more and more encompassing and detailed and reaching into every part of the public
And I
education
just
system.
wanted to add one more thing. They're also training our children to go to the colleges to teach the students when they do get through 12th grade to be ready to take on the other students. In other words, they go K through 12 and they're being indoctrinated, so to speak, and then they go to college, and I'm sure there's training for them to be taking these children in and teaching what they want them to know.
Let's get another one.
Okay, yeah, last question, right there. And I'm sorry, we're already past time.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Olsta. I am working with the Manchester School District, with Emory and Doris Hohensee, New Hampshire Families for Education, and if we can do one thing together as a state, when we go back home and talk to our school boards, is tell them what we are telling Manchester, is that we want Massachusetts standards that were #1 in the country, with Sandra Stosky's ELA standards, who she gives for free.
I've created a boiled-down version that's great.
For free.
They're on the web.
And the math standards are available to us. That can happen. And we just need to say one thing, one way, everywhere. And that is, we want the Massachusetts standards, and, oh, well, what about the test? Well, we will abolish the Smarter Balance test by our legislature, and we will tell them we want NCAS, not MCAS. And we will take the MCAS and make it an NCAS.
I think that we're going to finish up tonight. Thank you for coming. We would love to have your participation on other issues, other events, other bills, other legislation. So if you have not signed up for our, I think we have a list as you walk around with your email addresses. That's a way that I can get a hold of you. If you're not part of the Cornerstone email, you might want to sign up for that too. There's a House Education Committee on October 29th, where Mark Tucker will be joining us to tell us how great Common Core is. And if you don't know who Mark Tucker is, please go home and Google his name, and that's with a C, okay? And look at the letter to Hillary Clinton that he wrote her. And I think there's maybe some information in the back on him. But please, if you can give your email addresses out front, write them down, I can contact you, we can work on this together. So thank you for coming out tonight, thank you to our panelists, and a great round of applause.
QaA TV.